What would you do if your home were under constant threat from a predator, and your life depended on what you observe, what you protect, and every decision you make? Imagine a place where the savanna is not just scenery, but the lion's territory. Where livestock does more than feed, it attracts a hunter capable of wiping it out in a single night, and where one moment of carelessness can mean life or death. And yet, there are communities who have learned how to read the predator and live alongside it. Welcome to PlanetTribes. Today, we take you to 6 communities that face the lion, one of Africa's most formidable predators, without modern weapons, without technology, relying only on something the modern world seems to have forgotten. Stay with us, because what you are about to see is not entertainment. It is survival. We begin. 1. Maasai, southern Kenya and northern Tanzania. Savannas across the wide savannas of southern Kenya and northern Tanzania, the Maasai, live in territory dominated by the East African lion, Panthera leo maasaica. This apex predator shapes every daily decision. Males patrol territories exceeding 100 square kilometers, and coordinated hunts directly impact human livestock. Activity peaks at dusk and during the night, when young herders responsible for guarding cattle face the greatest danger. Cattle are the foundation of the Maasai economy and nutrition, yet they also act as a magnet for lions. They provide milk, blood, and meat, while drawing predators towards settlements. Each loss results in immediate economic damage and nutritional deficits, particularly affecting children and adolescents. The loss of a 200-kilogram cow can mean weeks without milk or protein. To counter this, highly structured protection systems have been developed. Corrals built from thorny branches form physical barriers that force lions to expose themselves during an attack. Night surveillance involves herders armed with spears and torches, capable of detecting movement in the darkness, while rotational shifts ensure constant vigilance. Failure can lead to attacks in which even experienced warriors suffer bites to the torso or legs. In an isolated environment, such injuries can become a death sentence. What would you do if every night your livelihood and your children's lives depended on hearing first the silent steps of a lion? Preventive strategies also rely on constant observation, paw prints, blood traces, hunting patterns. Based on these signs, corrals and grazing routes are adjusted. This knowledge is not folklore, it is practical technique, and it reduces fatal encounters. The lion is linked to Enkai, the supreme deity governing cattle and destiny. Historically, killing a lion was not a gratuitous ritual, but a functional response, proof that a warrior could protect the herd. The lion was not worshipped as a spirit, but acknowledged as a legitimate rival sent by Enkai to test the young. With the modern ban on ritual, hunting, the belief persists in transformed form. Livestock losses are interpreted as a temporary imbalance between divine favor and human conduct. The lion does not kill out of malice. It acts because the order has been strained. But there is a place where the lion does not respect permanent settlements, where the threat does not wait for nightfall. It moves with the desert wind. 2. Himba, northern Namibia, Kunene region. In the arid north of Namibia, within the Kunene region, the Himba coexist with desert lions, Panthera leo maasaica. These felines are adapted to extreme water scarcity. Unlike savanna lions, they can travel 50 to 60 kilometers in a single night in search of prey, making their movements difficult to anticipate and encounters significantly more dangerous. The open landscape, largely devoid of dense vegetation, allows them to approach livestock enclosures with little warning. Cattle, primarily cows and goats, form the foundation of the Himba diet and economy. Raw milk and blood are essential foods, providing protein, calcium, and iron in an environment where agriculture is not viable. The loss of a single animal can mean weeks of nutritional deficit. Lion attacks occur most frequently at dawn and dusk, when young herders are most exposed. In at least one case documented by local conservationists, a Himba man was dragged more than 30 meters by a male lion during a surprise attack at sunrise. The body showed severe limb mutilations, clear evidence that he was treated as prey. Repeated attacks are not understood solely as ecological events, but as signs of rupture with ancestral spirits, often linked to failures in sacred fire rituals, okuruwo. The lion is not considered a sacred being, yet its persistent presence near corrals is read as an indication that something is amiss within the group's social or ritual order. The response is not worship, but correction of human behavior. Their strategy is mobile and adaptive. Settlements are constantly relocated, and improvised corrals are built using dry shrubs and stones, forming barriers that discourage felines. Herding is meticulously organized. Daily routes avoid areas with recent tracks, identified through footprints and remains of prey. At times, elder men accompany younger herders, carrying spears and using local dogs trained to detect and deter predators. Fire plays a strategic role at night, both to repel lions and to function as a signaling system between scattered camps. The absence of fire after dark is interpreted as a warning sign. There is no epic here. There is endurance. In this context, strategic exchanges with neighboring groups become another adaptive measure, compensating for livestock losses and ensuring nutritional diversity within a hostile ecosystem. But imagine something different, a place where the lion does not want your livestock. It wants the same thing you do. 3. San, northern Botswana. In the semi-arid and wooded regions of northern Botswana, the San, also known as Bushmen, face Panthera leo-melanochita, not as a threat to livestock, but as a direct competitor for wild prey. In an environment where small game hunting sustains daily life, every expedition carries inherent risk. Lions pursue the same species, forcing the San to develop advanced skills in reading tracks and environmental signs to anticipate the predator's presence. Their diet consists of small game meat, fruits from shrubs such as marula, tuberous roots, and insects like termites and beetle larvae, which provide essential proteins and micronutrients. Misjudging safe areas for hunting or gathering can lead to encounters with lions, where an isolated individual faces extreme danger. Ethnographic accounts document deaths caused by nocturnal attacks. The lion seizes the victim by the head or neck, causing death within seconds through crushing of the neck. They have developed precise techniques, tested and transmitted across generations. Hunting is carried out with bows and arrows, poisoned with sap from Acocanthera, whose toxin acts quickly on small prey, immobilizing it before lions can intervene. Timing and route selection depend on analysis of fresh tracks, droppings, and ground impressions. Even rest is conditional. The San rarely remain in one location for more than a few nights without reinforcing their temporary shelters with thorny bushes. The environment's impact on the human body is constant. Prolonged exposure to sun and dryness leads to dehydration, extreme fatigue, and muscular wear. Competing with such an efficient predator imposes strict discipline in movement and observation. One aspect rarely addressed in documentaries is the deliberate decision to abandon wounded prey when recent lion activity is detected. Ethnographic studies show that upon finding fresh tracks or hearing nearby roars, the san choose to forfeit a critical food source rather than risk their lives. This behavior reflects a logic in which danger assessment outweighs immediate nutritional need. Now we cross continents, and everything changes, because in India, the lion everyone believed extinct never truly disappeared. 4. Maldari, Gir Forest, Gujarat, India. In the heart of the dry Gir Forest, in Gujarat, India, the Maldari live within the last natural habitat of the Asiatic lion, Panthera leopersica. Smaller than its African relatives, it remains an apex predator capable of attacking livestock with speed and lethal force. Asiatic lions roam between 15 and 20 kilometers per day within territories of roughly 100 square kilometers, concentrating most of their attacks during the night. In Gir Forest, sporadic human fatalities have been documented, usually involving people who slept outdoors near their livestock. Forest records from Gujarat describe cases in which Asiatic lions inflicted severe mutilations to legs and the abdomen, with victims later dying from infection and blood loss. Each incursion by the predator can result in the loss of animals essential to both diet and economic survival. Livestock provides fresh milk, meat, and blood, and its absence immediately undermines household nutrition. For example, the death of an adult female buffalo not only reduces available milk, but also limits future herd reproduction, threatening the group's food stability for months. The Maldari have structured their defense around two clear pillars. The first consists of reinforced corrals built from logs and stones, forming solid perimeters that force the lion either to break through the barrier or seek another target. The second is night surveillance, carried out by guards who patrol the camp's perimeter with torches and long staffs, alerting the community to any suspicious movement. They have also developed a well-documented cultural tolerance toward lions. Maldari learn to recognize individual behavior patterns, hunting routes within the forest, and periods of heightened activity. This observation is not folklore, but a functional strategy that allows them to plan grazing routes and minimize losses. The Maldari coexist with the Asiatic lion within a Hindu religious framework in which the animal is indirectly associated with deities such as Durga. In daily life, however, the outlook is pragmatic. The loss of a cow to a lion is not always viewed as an unjust tragedy, but as part of the forest's dharma. The lion has as much right to the territory as humans do. In addition, Maldari may receive government compensation for livestock lost to lions, although the process is slow and often incomplete. This reality has reduced retaliatory attacks against the felines and enabled a forced but relatively stable coexistence. But there are those who cannot remain still. They cannot hide behind corrals, because their life is always in motion. V. Rabari, Gujarat region, India. In the peripheral areas of the Gir Forest, the Rabari, a nomadic pastoral community of Gujarat, face the daily presence of the Asiatic lion. The threat emerges during the herding of cows and buffalo. Unlike the Maldari, whose interaction with lions is concentrated around livestock pens, the Rabari must manage the danger while on the move, traversing open grasslands where the felines can attack by surprise. Their diet depends primarily on buffalo and cow milk, which provide essential protein, calcium, and fat in an environment where crops are limited. The loss of animals to predation can mean weeks without milk and the inability to sustain the group. Attacks on herders are rare, but have occurred. Young people who accompany the cattle for long hours on the forest's periphery can suffer serious injuries if they try to scare off a lion without adequate protection. Some survivors have lost fingers or suffered deep wounds on their arms while defending the herd at close range. These events explain why rabari herding is rarely done alone today. An attack during herding is interpreted as a miscalculated human incursion, not as gratuitous animal aggression. This view supports strict practices of early penning and respect for territorial boundaries. For the rabari, the lion is neither an enemy nor a totem. It is a living frontier. To cross it carelessly is to assume the consequences. Their strategy is based on constant movement. Herding is strategically conducted during the day, keeping the cattle in continuous motion and avoiding areas with recent lion signs. Young animals are grouped in the center, while stronger adults and guard dogs are placed at the outer edges, functioning as a mobile barrier against any attempted attack. Early penning in improvised enclosures, reinforced with thorny bushes, ensures vulnerable livestock are protected overnight. They use rhythmic chants, whistles, and staffs, striking the ground to announce their presence while moving with the herd. Asiatic lions, which prefer surprise attacks, often avoid approaching noisy human groups. If this system fails, due to fatigue or group dispersion, the risk of ambush increases. They also incorporate constant observation of lion behavior. They learn to recognize movement patterns, hunting schedules, and habitual routes within the grasslands, adjusting their daily movements based on this information. This practical knowledge, developed over generations, is not folklore. It is the foundation of their survival against a predator capable of decimating a herd in a matter of hours if the mistake is repeated. But there is a more extreme place, where the lion is not the only enemy, where heat kills before claws. 6. Afar Triangle, Ethiopia. The Afar Triangle is one of the most hostile inhabited territories on the planet. Temperatures exceeding 45 degrees Celsius, exposed volcanic ground, an almost total absence of shelter. Every movement becomes an extreme physical test. Here, conflict with the lion does not arise from forest or night. It arises from heat and thirst. Lions of the Horn of Africa attack mainly during low light hours and near seasonal rivers and deep wells. Ethnographic records document attacks on herders with injuries to legs, arms, and neck. Traumatic amputations and death by blood loss are not uncommon when the attack occurs far from camp. They depend entirely on mobility. Goats, camels, and desert-resistant cattle are their only source of food. Milk sustains daily life, and losing animals means not only future hunger, but the immediate collapse of the group. Every relocation is mandatory, even when they know the territory is being crossed by lions. Water is the most dangerous point. Wells, temporary rivers, and springs concentrate life and death. It is there that humans, livestock, and lions converge without alternative. Danger is not concentrated in camps, but along routes. Exhausted herders, weakened animals, and visibility reduced by heat create the perfect scenario for rapid and lethal ambushes. That is why they never move alone. The Afar move armed, in compact groups, watching the horizon and the ground. Every track in the volcanic ash is read as a warning. A miscalculation can end in an attack with no time to react. The Afar's strategy against the lion is based on 3 concrete actions. The first, constant armed vigilance. Herders move in groups, carrying spears not to hunt the lion, but to deter it from a distance. The second, reading the terrain. Fresh tracks, droppings, and drag marks determine whether a route is abandoned immediately, even if that means additional hours without water. The third, time management. Grazing is reduced to a minimum at dawn and dusk, when the lion is most active. The lion is neither a symbol nor a myth. It is a concrete physical force that tears limbs apart, breaks subsistence systems, and forces each generation to learn, through blood, where one can walk and where one cannot. Their worldview is functional. The lion is a tangible danger that is part of the desert, just like heat and thirst. No divine messages or complex spiritual roles are attributed to it. However, there is a deeply rooted practical belief. A man who cannot face the threat of the lion cannot protect the mobility of the group. Courage here is not ritual, it is necessity. The lion does not teach with words, it teaches through consequences. When this system fails, the consequences are irreversible. Lost livestock, untreated injuries, extreme dehydration, and, in many cases, death. In Afar, failing to adapt does not mean migrating. It means disappearing. 6 peoples, 1 predator, 6 different ways of facing it. With the Maasai, the Himba, the San, the Muldari, the Rabari, and the Afar, we understand that the lion is not an enemy to be defeated, but a system that dictates every step of life. True wealth is not found only in livestock, meat, or milk. It lies in the human capacity to adapt, to build corrals, to read tracks, to prepare food and care for animals. In places where a single mistake can mean hunger, injury, or death. Every spear, every grazing route, every night watch is an act transmitted and refined over generations. But what is most extracted from these regions is not only food or protection, it is time. Every attack, every loss, every forced displacement redefines human life and puts centuries of accumulated knowledge to the test. Now, the question is for you. What part of your comfort would you be willing to sacrifice to coexist with a predator that does not negotiate? Leave it in the comments. This documentary ends here. But there are still places where humans do not rule. They only observe, learn, and adapt. If you want to keep exploring these territories with us, where every decision matters and every silence speaks, subscribe to the channel, activate the bell, and leave a like if this content made you reflect. See you at the next destination.